GMNA uses artificial intelligence for generated speech, visuals, and production. AI-generated content may contain errors. Please verify important information before making decisions or taking action. Live from the GMNA News Center, this is the Lunch Break News Hour.
Good afternoon, I'm CJ Waterhouse. We're seeing a record-breaking tourism season fueled by business events, sports, and festivals, while traffic stays mostly clear aside from a few construction delays. Later, we'll look at the new transit hub easing airport access and a beach volleyball conversion at Gilles Villeneuve. Jeff, what do you make of that?
The Orientalese Festival kicks off this weekend at Place des Arts, showcasing music, dance, and cuisine from across Asia, with free admission for all ages.
Over 30 performers will appear on 3 stages, including traditional drummers, contemporary pop bands, and culinary workshops highlighting street foods from Japan, Thailand, and Korea.
The festival offers free kids' workshops teaching calligraphy and lantern making, while local volunteers hand out cultural pamphlets in both French and English throughout the venue.
Lots to get to, let's begin. Stay tuned as we dive into today's stories, starting with the latest community highlights and upcoming events. Here are our top stories.
Montreal's tourism season through May to July has surged, with business conventions, sports events, and festivals driving record-breaking visitor numbers, surpassing previous summer peaks. Colette Barbeau has the full story.
Tourism officials say Montreal is on pace for its most visited season ever, with bookings for business conventions, major sporting events, and a packed festival calendar drawing crowds well beyond the usual summer surge. Projections for May through July 2026 show total visitor numbers topping previous highs, fueled by international conferences, a professional tennis tournament, and the city's famed music and cultural festivals. Hotel occupancy is climbing toward full capacity, and local venues report record ticket sales across the board. The combined effect of these sectors is pushing the city's tourism engine into unprecedented territory, promising a bustling summer for residents and visitors alike. Colette Barbeau, GMNA News, Le Plateau. Elderly man in his 60s suffered a serious head injury after a cyclist assaulted him in downtown Montreal, fleeing the scene before police could intervene. Matthew Lachance has the full story.
Police say a man in his 60s was left with a serious head injury after a cyclist attacked him on a busy boulevard this afternoon. Witnesses reported the rider struck the victim with the bike's handlebar before speeding away. Officers arrived moments later to find the man slumped on the pavement, bleeding from his scalp, and a crowd gathering. Emergency crews rushed him to a nearby hospital while detectives began canvassing the area for the fleeing suspect. The cyclist, described as a young adult wearing a dark jacket and a helmet, has not been identified, and police are urging anyone with information to come forward. The investigation remains ongoing today. Matthew Lachance, GMNA News, Montreal.
Research scientist Jan Boulanger of the Canadian Forest Service will explain why British Columbia wildfires are projected to affect communities more severely than the fires currently burning in Quebec. Colette Barbeau has the full story.
Wildfire officials are comparing the two provinces after flames ripped through British Columbia and Quebec this summer. Jan Boulanger of the Canadian Forest Service told scientists that the British Columbia blaze is intersecting denser population corridors, with more homes and infrastructure located in the fire-prone foothills. He noted that wind patterns there push smoke into larger urban centers, while evacuation routes are limited by rugged terrain. In contrast, Rachel Watts of Quebec AM explained that Quebec's fires are largely confined to sparsely settled forest zones, and that the province's broader network of roads eases evacuations. Both experts said the differing geography and settlement patterns are key to why British Columbia's fires are hitting communities harder. Colette Barbeau, GMNA News, Montreal. Quebec's first regenerated liver transplant will be performed on a 64-year-old man, marking the continent's inaugural use of lab-grown organ technology and potentially expanding donor supply. Ramai Gaudreau has the full story.
On August 13th, a 64-year-old man from Quebec became the first patient in North America to receive a liver grown entirely in the lab. Surgeons at a regional hospital implanted the organ, which was produced using a regeneration technique that coaxed donor cells to form a functional liver scaffold before maturing it in a bioreactor. The procedure follows months of work by dozens of researchers who have been refining the method to create fully viable organs. Doctors say the transplant functioned normally within hours, and the patient is now recovering under close monitoring. If the approach scales, it could add thousands of livers to the donor pool and ease the chronic shortage. Remy Gaudreau, GMNA News, Quebec.
After 3 decades as a film set, the 19th-century Canadiana village in Quebec reopens to visitors, aiming to preserve historic buildings while offering modern tour. Remy Gaudreau has the full story.
After 3 decades of serving almost exclusively as a backdrop for movies and TV, the 19th-century Canadiana village throws open its doors to the public this August. Visitors can wander the restored wooden storefronts, cobblestone lanes, and period interiors that have been carefully maintained by the owners. While the site will continue to welcome independent filmmakers, the new schedule adds guided tour, interactive exhibits, and a modest cafe that blends modern comforts with historic ambience. The owners say the reopening lets them protect the original antiques and structures while generating a sustainable future for the heritage attraction. Staff are on hand to explain the restoration process and answer questions from curious guests. Remy Gaudreau, GMNA News, Quebec.
Up next, we'll look at the police chief's condemnation of online attacks after the June shooting. Plus more, we will be right back. Every day, important stories happen across the city before any news crew arrives. Sometimes, the very first person at the story is you. When you witness something newsworthy, open the GMNA Citizen Reporter app and start your report. The app guides you through every step while your report is delivered directly to the GMNA newsroom. Every submission is reviewed by our editorial team, and approved reports may be featured on GMNA. Get the GMNA Citizen Reporter app today at my.gmna.ca. Your city, your news.
Welcome back. Montreal Police Chief Fady Dagher denounced social media attacks targeting the officer involved in the June 22 Côte des Neiges shooting, accusing stage manager figures of fueling the harassment. Colette Barbeau has the full story.
Following a shooting that unfolded on June 22, 2026, in the Côte des Neiges neighborhood, Police Chief Fady Dagher took to a press briefing to denounce the flood of hostile messages aimed at a policewoman involved in the incident. Dagher said the online harassment was unacceptable and pointed to a group of self-styled stage managers who had publicly accused the officer without evidence. He reminded listeners that the investigation remains ongoing, with multiple victims still receiving care and families awaiting answers. The incident has dominated headlines across the city and prompted intense media scrutiny. The chief urged the public to let the judicial process run its course and to refrain from targeting individual officers on social platforms. Colette Barbeau, GMNA News, Côte des Neiges. Montreal police have taken down a flock surveillance camera that was briefly deployed for an investigation earlier today, removing the device within hours of its placement. Matthew Lachance has the full story.
The Service de Police de la Ville de Montreal pulled a flock-type surveillance camera from a city street early Thursday after it had been in place only a few hours. Officers said the device was installed as part of an ongoing investigation and was taken down once its purpose had been fulfilled. The removal occurred on August 13, 224 hours after the camera's deployment, and no further equipment remains at the site. Police did not disclose the specific neighborhood or the nature of the case, but confirmed the action was routine and complied with municipal protocols. The camera will not be reinstalled at this location. Matthew Lachance, GMNA News, Montreal.
Montreal police removed a controversial license plate reading camera on Boulevard Henry Bourassa after privacy concerns sparked public outcry this week. The device, deemed highly intrusive, is now gone. Colette Barbeau has the full story.
Police crews on Boulevard Henry Bourassa dismantled the automated license plate camera late Tuesday, August 12, 2026, after a week of mounting privacy complaints. The device, which scans passing vehicles and records plate numbers, had been spotted earlier in the week and quickly became the focus of local activists and residents who called it a severe intrusion on personal privacy. SBVM officials said the removal was necessary to address the community's concerns. Officers worked through the evening, taking down the pole-mounted unit and securing the surrounding area. No arrests were made, and traffic continued to flow with temporary lane adjustments. The camera's absence will be noted by motorists passing the intersection. Colette Barbeau, GMNA News, Henry Bourassa. Montreal officials unveiled a new transit hub in the West Island designed to streamline connections to Pierre Elliott Trudeau International Airport, promising faster, more direct public transit routes for travelers. Ramai Gaudreau has the full story.
Officials unveiled a new transit hub today aimed at tightening the link between the West Island and the Pierre Elliott Trudeau International Airport. The facility will sit near existing bus and train lines, creating a central point where commuters can transfer onto airport shuttles and regional services without changing vehicles multiple times. Planners say the hub will feature expanded platforms, real-time information screens, and sheltered waiting areas, all designed to cut travel time to the airport. The city's broader infrastructure push includes upgrades to surrounding streets and dedicated bike lanes, ensuring smoother connections for cyclists as well. Construction is slated to begin later this year, with completion targeted for the early next decade. Ramai Gaudreau, GMNA News, West Island.
More than 700 tons of sand are being spread across the Gilles Villeneuve circuit at Parc Jean Drapeau, converting the former race track into a temporary beach volleyball venue for the upcoming tournament. Nadia Bellafuel has the full story.
Sand trucks rumble along the historic Gilles Villeneuve track, unloading more than 700 tons of fine, white sand onto the asphalt. Crews spread the material in long, even layers, shaping a makeshift beach that will host the city's upcoming beach volleyball tournament. The transformation is part of Montreal's summer sports program, turning the former race circuit at Parc Jean Drapeau into a temporary arena for athletes and fans. By early August, the sand will be compacted and marked with quartz, ready for competition under the island's summer sky. Spectators can already see the contrast between the racing lanes and the new sandy surface, a clear sign of the city's seasonal shift. Nadia Bellafuel, GMNA News, Parc Jean Drapeau. Now let's check in with the forecast and see what's ahead this afternoon.
Fast western jet stream caps a stagnant high, keeping Montreal clear and mild through the afternoon. On this date, the all-time heat peaked at 32.1 degrees Celsius in 2021, a surge that rode a deep southerly surge ahead of an early season ridge. The cold extreme fell to 12.1 degrees Celsius in 2022, recorded during an unusually early Arctic air dip that slipped under a weak frontal boundary. Normal highs sit around 27 degrees and lows near 22, so today's 22-degree reading sits comfortably between those historic marks. The live radar screen is completely quiet across the province. No rain echoes are visible, confirming a dry column of air from the surface to the mid-levels. The western jet, moving at roughly 116 kilometers per hour, is steering any distant disturbances well north of the city. With the high pressure remaining steady, no precipitation will arrive, and the clear sky will persist through the evening. At noon, the temperature reads 22 degrees with a clear sky and a light western breeze of 5 kilometers per hour. The atmosphere is under a near-average high that is holding steady, while the jet stream overhead supplies a gentle westward push that limits any cloud buildup. Temperatures will climb to a modest high of 23 degrees by mid-afternoon, then dip slightly to 22 as the sun sets around 8 o'clock. The UV index is 6, and wind gusts will not exceed 17 kilometers per hour. No weather alerts are in effect. Friday brings another clear day with a high of 22 degrees and a low of 12, as the high-pressure ridge remains anchored over the region. Saturday warms to a high of 24 degrees, still under clear skies, before a modest dip in cloud cover on Sunday brings a high of 22 degrees and a low of 16, with a 35% chance of rain in the afternoon. Monday returns to clear conditions and a comfortable high of 23 degrees, while Tuesday shifts back to overcast with a high of 26 degrees. The pattern stays dominated by the western jet, maintaining a generally dry and stable flow with only brief cloud intrusions. And that's your weather. Remember, the lunch break is also available as a podcast. Listen anytime on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts.
Traffic stays smooth despite some construction. The Orientalese Festival kicks off, and Hayden Popinkies makes the Canadians under 25 list, We will be right back. Every day, important stories happen across the city before any news crew arrives. Sometimes the very first person at the story is you. When you witness something newsworthy, open the GMNA Citizen Reporter app and start your report. The app guides you through every step while your report is delivered directly to the GMNA newsroom. Every submission is reviewed by our editorial team, and approved reports may be featured on GMNA. Get the GMNA Citizen Reporter app today at my.gmna.ca. Your city, your news.
Major construction continues on Rue Saint-Urbain at the R136 interchange, creating a significant bottleneck through the East End. Expect reduced speeds and occasional backups, especially during the morning surge. Minor delays persist on Boulevard Lacordaire where it meets the 40, and on the Boulevard de l'Acadie access to a 40 eastbound. Both sites see short queues and intermittent lane closures. The service lane of the A13 also runs slower than normal as crews finish pavement work. Along Avenue Soligny between the 25 and Rue Honoré Beaugrand, traffic moves at a measured pace due to lane narrowing. Aside from these sites, the rest of the network remains clear, and there are no reported incidents. With the morning rush winding down, conditions should improve this afternoon. Commuters heading downtown can expect typical travel times afternoon. Drivers can anticipate smoother flow on the Audi routes and downtown arteries once the construction zones clear.
National Bank Open wraps up today at Uniprix Stadium, with the men's singles final delivering the world's top players battling for the title, a must-watch for any tennis fan and a showcase of the sport's elite drama. Across the Old Port, the Orientalese Festival lights up Clock Tower Pier, offering free performances, hands-on workshops, and street food from North Africa to China, a perfect way to taste the world without leaving the city. Just a short walk away, the International First Peoples Festival fills Place des Festivals with indigenous concerts, film screenings, dance, and visual art, highlighting the vibrant creativity of First Nations creators. Looking ahead, the Lasso Festival lands on Parc Jean Drapeau later this week, promising roots and country headliners that will fill the summer sky, while the Plaza St. Hubert Block Party rolls out a street sale, live DJs and Latin beats from 20 to 23 August, turning the neighborhood into a lively street carnival. And now here's Jason with sports. Draft buzz, trade chatter, and fresh prospects light up the Habs' summer outlook. Hayden Papinkis lands at 22 on the Canadiens, top 25 under 25, a 6'5" power forward who arrived via a third-round pick after the Habs traded up in 2025. His size-skill blend bolsters the forward depth chart and forces a battle for a roster spot this summer. Kent Hughes is circling the trade market as the Canadiens weigh a September or October move. Should a deal materialize, Montreal could recoup assets while clearing forward depth. If he stays, Hughes will still finish the offseason with a roster that's shaping up nicely. Sasha Pastujov jumps to 23 in the Habs, under 25 list, a year younger than the departed Sean Farrell. His standout season with the U.S. National Team Development Program adds youthful speed to Montreal's prospect pool and positions him for a potential AHL call-up. Stay tuned, Habs fans, the next chapter's just beginning. Thanks, Jason. Good Food, located in St. Laurent, has been a staple for Montrealians looking for convenient, chef-crafted meal kits and online grocery deliveries. The company announced today that it has entered creditor protection under the company's Creditors Arrangement Act and is now pursuing a court-supervised sale and fresh investment. By taking these steps, Good Food hopes to keep its kitchens humming, protect dozens of local jobs, and maintain the supply chain that supports neighborhood farms and producers. For a city that prides itself on culinary creativity, keeping the brand alive means preserving a homegrown option that makes healthy cooking accessible to busy families. It's a reminder that Montreal's food scene thrives when we protect the businesses that feed it. Stay tuned as we explore the near-finalized Churchill Falls Agreement between Quebec and Newfoundland Labrador, a game-changer for energy. Every day, important stories happen across the city before any news crew arrives. Sometimes the very first person at the story is you. When you witness something newsworthy, open the GMNA Citizen Reporter app and start your report. The app guides you through every step while your report is delivered directly to the GMNA newsroom. Every submission is reviewed by our editorial team, and approved reports may be featured on GMNA. Get the GMNA Citizen Reporter app today at my.gmna.ca. Your city, your news. Montreal is kicking off its first Climate Week downtown, with more than 20 free events aimed at reshaping the city's sustainability agenda and energizing local climate action. The launch is sparking conversation across neighborhoods and businesses alike, drawing residents and officials together. Carl Dumont is there. Carl Dumont.
Thanks, CJ Waterhouse. I'm standing on the bustling corner of Rue Saint-Urbain, the scent of fresh coffee mingling with the summer heat as a crowd gathers around a bright blue banner that reads Montreal Climate Week. It's August 13, 2026, and the city is buzzing. Organizers have just launched the city's first ever Climate Week, unveiling a slate of more than 20 free events that will run from September 8th through 13th. Nearby, a pop-up stall displays potted medicinal herbs, while a volunteer explains how lavender and sage can help urban dwellers lower stress and improve air quality. Across the street, students from Concordia University set up a small stage, ready to host a panel on the energy transition that promises to pull in curious passers-by. Bicycles line the sidewalk, their riders wearing reusable water bottles and tote bags emblazoned with the week's logo. For many Montrealers, this week is a chance to see climate action woven into daily life, from the aroma of fresh herbs to the buzz of student debates. Carl Dumont, virtually at downtown Montreal. Welcome back. Quebec and Newfoundland and Labrador are close to finalizing a new agreement on the Churchill Falls hydroelectric project, ending years of negotiations over power terms and revenue sharing. Colette Barbeau has the full story.
Negotiators from Quebec and Newfoundland and Labrador are putting the finishing touches on a fresh pact for the Churchill Falls hydroelectric complex. After several years of back and forth over water rights, revenue splits and long-term operation, officials say the new deal will lock in updated terms for power deliveries and compensation. Both provinces expect the agreement to bring more certainty to the grid and open the door for future investments in the aging facility. The draft, reviewed by legal teams in both capitals, is slated for signing later this week, pending final cabinet approval. This marks the latest step in a long-running dialogue over one of Canada's biggest energy assets today. Colette Barbeau, GMNA News, Montreal's. Quebec unions are demanding immediate action on more than 3,000 teacher vacancies, citing funding cuts and aging schools as the crisis deepens ahead of the provincial election. Matthew Lachance has the full story.
With more than 3,000 teaching posts still empty, school corridors across Quebec are feeling the strain as the new academic year looms. Union leaders are meeting with the Education Ministry, pressing for immediate measures to fill the 3,132 vacancies. They point to recent budget reductions and deteriorating school facilities as the root of the shortfall. Parents and staff say classrooms are already operating with larger groups, and teachers warn burnout is rising. The push comes weeks before the provincial election, adding pressure on politicians to act before the fall term begins. Unions say they will continue negotiations until a concrete plan is announced. Matthew Lachance, GMNA News, Montreal.
Thanks, Montreal, for joining us on the lunch break. Yesterday's groundbreaking regenerated liver transplant reminded us how innovation thrives here. We appreciate your curiosity and conversation. Tune in tomorrow for more stories that shape our city, and let's keep the conversation going. See you then.